All right, guys. Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, $48 million budget. It made $390.5 million worldwide. It was the second biggest movie in 1991. It was a movie that was critically not reviled, but picked apart in a lot of ways. But the audiences loved it, and it lives on 30 plus years later. Van was just telling us, I've seen this dozens of times. I love this movie. It gets better every time. Do you believe that it was critically kind of semi-reviled?
I wasn't on what the critics were doing during that time. I would watch Siskel and Ebert, but other than that, I had no concept of what the critics were doing. This movie was so big in every way to me. So big on MTV, obviously, Bryan Adams. Like, it was a McDonald's toy type of movie.
Yeah.
Posters everywhere. It was just such a huge, he was at the height of his powers. I have no concept for anyone who didn't dig it.
And you love Bryan Adams in Louisiana. I remember. It's like a big artist for you guys.
That song was big. They tried to run it back with the Three Musketeers.
Everything I Do rang out.
Yeah, it was a big deal. So I just have no concept of people who didn't dig it. I gotta be honest.
You were more of a summer of '69 Adams guy, CR, right?
I like a little bit more electric guitar going in mine, yeah.
I was surprised that you love this movie, though. You do.
You know what? I think it hits a lot. It checks a lot of boxes, especially for me, but especially for this podcast, where it's big movie stars, pretty competently made, couple of sequences that you remember for the rest of your life, and crucially, still this era where Entertainment Weekly gets like behind the scenes tell-alls the week it comes out, where it's like, guess what? The director got fired when they were still editing. And guess what? Alan Rickman almost blew Kevin Costner off the screen. And so there's a real rich text here. But I mean, Van and I were just chatting before we were coming in, and we were kind of bemoaning the state of contemporary blockbuster storytelling. And I don't want to step on your anecdote, but one of the things that's so cool about this is that even though it's obviously like the biggest movie star in the world at this point with Kevin Costner, you can see like the level of craft that goes all the way down, like where they're just like, damn, you guys went to England and shot at Hadrian's Wall and like have, there's castles and there's horse riding and there's archery and it feels real. It feels very tactile. It's closer to Raiders of the Lost Ark than it is to any contemporary blockbusters that we have.
They committed. Like, we're watching, the Midnight Boys are over at the house yesterday, and we're just going in and out of some of the most amazing nerd shit that you can do. We're literally watching stuff, and then we're taking a break to play Spider-Man 2 on the PlayStation 5. And then we're going back to football, and we're just doing it. And Kalika's head is spinning with how she got herself in this situation. And I started watching this movie because I have to watch it for the Rewatchables. And the first thing I go is like, yo, man, they built that. Like, they built that. They went there. However seriously you take the movie, they took it very seriously. Yeah. They were making the defining Robin Hood tale of our times, and that comes across on the screen when you're watching it. You're in the middle of the adventure.
1938, 1973 were Robin Hood movies. There was a 1976 semi-Robin Hood movie. There were two in 1991.
The Connery one is the 76.
Robin and Marion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two in 1991, then 2010, 2018. They kind of rushed this one because there was another one going on at the same time. That would have been good theme month.
There was two others.
Movies that got rushed because there was a competitor and they were trying to make them.
We get the Prefontaine action going in there.
Oh, Prefontaine. That's my favorite
the double
movie.
Prefontaines.
Prefontaine and then Without Limits.
Yeah.
Like those.
Which side are you on?
I can't remember the difference between them.
I'm on the Crudup side.
You like the Crudup. And then the other one is Jared Leto.
Yeah.
The Crudup one is the better one.
Crudup one's better one.
Yeah.
So one of the many reasons I love this movie as a rewatchable is it's so flawed. And the biggest flaw in the movie is the biggest star in the movie. And he became the most polarizing person from this movie, Kevin Costner. It was a real talking point back then.
Yeah.
It was like, yo, man, Costner, what happened here? A rare miss. Costner's on this run from 87 to 92. No Way Out, Bull Durham, Field of Dreams, Dances with Wolves, and Revenge. And he's just about to win all these Oscars and beat Goodfellas for Dances with Wolves as he's making this. This happens sometimes when you're a movie star and you're like, I'm the biggest star in the world. I can do anything.
This is Ben Affleck doing Batman.
Yeah. And he's finishing Dances with Wolves. He's about to do JFK, right?
He
or he
basically
finished JFK and he's about to do
finishing Dances with Wolves 10 days later, he's on the set of Robin Hood.
No rehearsals.
And then
literally nothing. They're like, you're going to use an English accent? He's like, I don't know. I haven't figured it out.
And they premiered this movie in New Orleans because Costner was shooting JFK in New Orleans, I think.
It's a speed rush.
Yeah.
And it's a classic. This guy is flying so close to the sun. He's like, you know what, man? I'll grow my hair out a little bit. Give me some extensions.
Yeah.
I'll figure out the accent on the fly. Is there gonna be some sword fighting? Yeah. Give me a little tutorial. Archery? Yeah. Why not?
Yeah.
Do you care if my accent comes in and out there in the movie? It'll be fine, right? And I'm Kevin Costner. I can do this. And I kind of like that about the movie because it's kind of hilarious.
No one's ever bet bigger on themselves than Kevin Costner.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, maybe they have, but like Kevin Costner.
Maybe Affleck. Affleck's in the finals with him.
Yeah,
I
but
feel
Kevin
like.
Costner has routinely like taken it all. It's like he's got a little Coppola to him, where he's like, I'm going to take all the credit I have in the bank and put it on Waterworld, or I'm going to put it on
Wyatt Earp.
Yeah, on Wyatt Earp.
Yeah.
Or on
dances.
Or this movie that's coming out, the 2 movies he's got coming out next year, Horizon, where he's basically leaving Yellowstone to make his own Westerns.
Yeah.
Well, it was the Lawrence Kasdan quote on Kevin Costner. Remember when he dissed the shit out of him? He's like, I think he should only work with his favorite actor, writer, producer, and director for the rest of his career. And that, of course, is Kevin Costner.
Right.
Like, Kevin likes to get an ISO in. And this
Yeah.
is one hell of an ISO. But look, for me, at this time, poster, Costner, flaming arrow coming towards the thing. He's Robin Hood. I'm in there.
And they were onto something with this. You're right. It's a flawed rewatchable. It's very enjoyable. I could watch Alan Rickman all day long, all night long. The bones of this movie are essentially like what Titanic wound up capitalizing on. Like
I would throw in Game of Thrones.
Yeah. But like, no, but even just the like deeply romantic, huge song, character that you kind of know about, but maybe don't know totally. Like, we know the Titanic, we don't know the people on it, right?
Over the top villain.
Like, it's like there are elements of it that
Star-crossed lovers that are trying to figure out a way to stay together.
They had a little bit of the chemistry here.
And they find their love through this like intense chaos where they have to rely on one another.
Yeah.
She also is kind of a do-it-herself type of lady, but they kind of find it together. It's like, yeah, I get it.
Also, some incredible unintentional comedy in this movie. That was one of the things I loved in the early 90s about this. Because first of all, as Chris pointed out, the buzz is already there that this might be a disaster. This was the era of the Premiere magazine and EW.
I think they're like, it's much better than you would think for a movie that went through the issues it went through.
Yeah, in that EW piece that comes out, really as the movie's coming out, the director is like, yeah, I'm out. I'm not going to the premiere. They locked me out of the editing room.
Haven't talked to Costner.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm friends with Costner anymore. And it was a terrible experience. I'd like to move forward. And the movie isn't out yet.
Yeah. I just remember being so hyped for it. Like, so pumped. I was going through a little bit of a Robin Hood phase. Because, like, Robin Hood,
I was curious about this.
Yeah, I was going through a little bit of a Robin Hood phase. I had started to read Robin Hood stuff. And there are books about, like, Robin Hood's kids and like the people that were related to Robin Hood before I'm into it, and just right at this time, like this is coming out. It was a very Robin Hood-y era because right after this, a couple of years later, I think, the guy who continuously beat the shit out of his wife and sleeping with the enemy, Patrick Bergen, he becomes Robin Hood.
Laura!
Like, fix the goddamn tiles. What a crazy son of a bitch. Like, he had to die, right? He's in the top 10 had to die people in all of movies.
We did that one, right?
We did it. Yeah. I was on it.
Yeah. I just want to make sure I'm old.
Yeah, he had to die.
That happens to me now where I'm like,
we do that.
Did we do that?
Did I just talk to Van in the lobby about that, or did we actually do a whole podcast?
And it's almost as if this movie came out and it was a big hit. So there was a rush of people saying, hey, we could actually do Robin Hood right. Like, people want to see Robin Hood stuff. They want to see this type of English lore, but like, we could do it right. And still to this day, there have been a lot of adaptations of it. None of them have quite piqued people's interest to me like this one has.
He's kind of like, it kind of reminds me of Superman, where people don't feel like they can tell the story without telling the origins. So you have to have this sort of lead up to him becoming Robin Hood, robs from the rich to give to the poor, kind of thing. And the same thing happened with the Ridley Scott, Russell Crowe movie, where there's like 45 minutes of him on the Crusades before you even get back to England or something like that. There's like a kind of people get in their own way. Where it's like, what we want is this dude in Sherwood Forest with Maid Marian, with Will John and Will Scarlet, robbing motherfuckers, it's not going out like.
It's such a good point. We've done the Batman thing before, and I told people, I was like, yo, rest in peace to those people. I don't need to see
Bruce Wayne's.
I don't need to see them get killed again.
Yeah.
We get it.
Yeah.
Like, we know what happened.
Well, it's like when they have those music documentaries and they spend 30 minutes on the somebody growing up, and you're like, can you just get to the part when
Yeah.
they got their first number one hit and start doing cocaine?
Yeah.
Can that happen? Here's some of the stuff people wrote at the time. This is EW's Owen Gleiberman. People are bound to say that Costner is upstaged by Rickman. The truth, though, is that he's upstaged by nearly every actor who shares the scene with him. That's the thing that was written. Reynolds said, the director, Kevin Reynolds, Kevin was pretty tired, meaning Costner, and understandably so after Dance with Wolves. He did the best he could do. He threw himself completely into the character, even though there was no time for him to assimilate the part. That's basically like, yeah, Kevin kind of sucked.
Yeah.
We didn't have enough rehearsal time.
Kevin had a dead arm, but we threw him out there anyway.
Ty Burr wrote for EW later that year about Costner. He's dismally out of place, a 1990s guy stranded in the 1190s. Doubters need only rent Robin Hood on a video double bill with Fandango to see how the actor has lately played against his strengths. You can almost feel the weight of stardom that descended in the intervening 6 years. I kind of like this about the movie because I see this movie as, and we've talked about it a lot, like the arc of a career and like when you make that one mistake or the movie you shouldn't have made or, oh man, I can't believe they did that one. And just Costner thinking he could just fly to England and just bang out Robin Hood in 10 weeks is insane.
Yeah.
Like most people would be like, hey, can you imagine Cruise, the amount of sword training he would have done in archery?
But it's not
Cruise
even
would have been like, I won the gold medal in the
just
Olympics in archery.
It's deciding what kind of guy this is. Now what
kind of guy was Robin Hood in Costner's mind in this movie?
I think he's basically Roy from Field of Dreams. I think he's like a good person who believes that other people are being taken advantage of and he is going to help them while in the process of avenging his father's death.
Mm-hmm.
And I always think about like when he finds out that Christian Slater, that Will Scarlett's his brother, he's like, I have a brother. I have a brother. And he's like hugging him and doing the Kevin Costner tearing up thing. And you're
Shoeless Joe's out in the front
yeah,
yard.
it's like, want to have a catch, Dad? And it's like, oh, okay, that's the movie you wanted to make. Then there's like the punk rock, like I'm like a little puckish, like annoying, rebellious Robin Hood that pops up in the beginning of the movie. But yeah, like I don't know that they ever landed on like, what are we doing here?
So, what are we doing here? Charles Holmes is gonna love to hear that. So like, I feel like when they pitched this to him, they were like, "Yo, we got this movie. Don't even worry about it. We gonna make you look like the motherfucker."
Yes.
Right.
Because this is a hero film. You know how many shots of him just being magnificent?
When they think he's dead and he comes back out of the
out
forest,
the thing,
yeah.
the fire shot, the whole nine, a shot of his ass. Hey, ladies, we got some ass for you. He's like, literally, they did a Pamela Anderson scene, but with Kevin Costner, where he's wet, getting out of the water, Baywatch style. This is the sexiest, strongest, most heroic motherfucker in the whole world. And he was like, I can't not do it, right? Like, I can't.
We're going to give you Don Johnson's hair from season 4 of Miami Vice, like big flowing locks.
Yeah.
With a little Yarmir Yager in the back. Some bangs back there.
You can't say no. You can't say no to that, man. Like he and so he just got there and everyone has done this. I feel like a lot of big stars. I won't say everyone, but he just tried to charm his way through a movie. He just wanted to charm his way through it.
What are some other examples of that? Where somebody, because I do feel like Affleck, this happened with him a couple times where he was just like, I just need to go and do Ben Affleck stuff. It feels like basically every A-list actor has a couple of these.
Yeah, well, they just take one and they just, hey, I'm going to charm out, like Will Smith tried to do it in Hancock.
That's a good one.
Like Will Smith tried to do it in Hancock. Like before Hancock is coming out, Hancock is like, everybody's talking about this movie and it's about an alcoholic superhero and this whole deal. And when you get to the film, Will is just willing his way, being curmudgeonly all the way through the film. And he never really got to the center
Air
of it.
Force One might be a good example of this because it's like, yeah, man, Harrison Ford, why don't you just play the president? You know, but you can also kick ass. It's a president who could beat up terrorists on a plane. Like that's
sacrilegious to say Cruise in War of the Worlds.
Well, that's a great movie, though.
That's a really good movie. The movie is directed.
Cruise good at it, though?
Yeah. I think so.
That movie is so fucking well made, though. Like, that movie is so well made that he almost didn't have to do that much.
You probably don't like it because of the Yankees-Red Sox stuff in the beginning of it.
I didn't like that part. Harrison Ford in Air Force One is a good one, where it just looks like he's like, hey, can you wire Can you wire my salary?
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you the number of my account and just put that in directly.
Yeah.
So you
There's
mentioned
also movies that I think movie stars feel compelled, like I have to take this choice. I have to make this choice. Like I have to play. If given the opportunity, I need to play a Jedi or Robin Hood or Batman or the President or something. You know what I mean? Like where it's just like, why not me?
Yeah, he's not at that point in his career. He's not going to be Batman. He's not going to be Superman. He's not going to be any of those big, heavy lore things that actors are riding on. But he can be Robin Hood, and he's not going to have to worry about like a tremendous amount of competition. Like Kevin Costner is Robin Hood, is a big feather in the cap of your career.
Is this a
Matt Damon led Legend of Bagger Vance when he didn't know how to play golf? And he's like, I don't know how to play golf. They're like, shooting's in 2 weeks. Here's your golf coach.
Is Robin Hood have any hold for you as like an idea, as a character?
Yeah,
rather?
I was going to do this later for Hottest Take, but like, they never really nailed it in a movie completely until The Wire.
Oh, yeah.
They nailed it with Omar. That's kind of what, and they really dive into it with Omar. And that was like, when you mentioned how with Robin Hood, there's like, you could have gone another 20 minutes with him just robbing people and then giving, like, that's kind of how I always saw Robin Hood as a kid.
He's
like
a swashbuckler. Like, I don't need to know the like,
he wasn't doing it for
Crusades.
For him. He was doing it for everybody else. And I don't know. They've never really.
This is a funny thing where I can't think of another character where it's basically like the concept around what their actions were is more famous than the character. So like the idea of robbing the rich to give to the poor is almost a bigger idea than Robin Hood.
Yeah, like what is he? Is he funny? Is he biting?
Well,
like,
he's
what
a
is he
mythological folklore figure. You know, it's like King Arthur. It's like, who knows?
He you know, the Band of Merry Men, all of these guys, they're like like this counterculture type. It depends on the way you envision it, right?
Yeah.
Because either they're rebels or they're outcasts. Whatever point you're at, do you have to put politics into this? Why is he robbing from the rich to give into the poor? You know that he's of noble blood. So what made him turn his back on whatever is going on?
We don't find that out.
Well, I mean, this movie eats around the edges of it because number one, she describes who he is, but like we never know the Robin that was a bully and that was arrogant. Because the first thing he does is like insanely selfless, right? So we never get a chance to know that. And then by the time he comes back, he is the underdog like the entire film. So those are questions that are left unanswered here, you know?
Is it, you almost in your head, it's more like a Jamie Lannister, not as vicious, but
absolutely.
But kind of that same kind of attitude. Like it should almost be like he's from Boston. He's got a little, you think you're better than me. I'm Robin Hood. I'm going to take your money and give it to the poor. You think you're better than me.
I know you, Robin. You went to Exeter. You think you're better than me, but you're not.
So the troubled shoot thing, the latest they could start the movie was September 3rd. And they had 10 weeks for pre-production. And Costner arrived 3 days before filming was about to begin. So they couldn't do rehearsals. They were also recasting stuff, which we'll get to in a second. They barely had read-throughs. They were also filming like on location, and it was too close to London's Heathrow Airport. So jets would be flying, and they would just have to stop scenes. And at some point, they all became panicked that they weren't going to get this movie done.
And they were racing against finishing it before England's summer was over. So it would basically be raining every day, you know?
And then as they're racing to finish near the end, the producers freak out because Alan Rickman is the star of the movie and Costner's not that good. And they're like, oh my God, Rickman's like stealing this from Costner. We got to do something. And they boot out the director and they re-edit the movie. And nobody really knows how much they took out of Rickman. People seem to think they definitely took out a couple big scenes.
So in the extended cut,
which I watched on accident.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Though.
And they have a couple of extra Rickman and the witch scenes.
Hilarious.
Yeah. And then there's like there's more Rickman in the extended cut, and you have to imagine. So basically, this is a fascinating thing: is like they showed it to a focus group, and the focus group was like, "This movie's awesome. We really enjoyed ourselves," and they were like, "Great." But the problem was that the reason that they loved it was more because of Alan Rickman.
Yeah, they're like, "What's your number one thing that you loved about the movie?" And they're like, "Alan Rickman."
And this is the weird Hollywood thing is like you would think maybe they would be like, great, what a nice surprise, but everybody loves this movie, so let's just roll with it. And instead they're like, oh shit, now we have a Kevin Costner problem. because he
But I
can't
wonder
get
how
upstage.
much is Costner responsible for that? Because this was in a big dick swinging superstar era.
I think that's the thing. I think the climate has changed. Now, I think you make a movie, and when you're watching The Dark Knight, you go, okay, this is a Batman movie, but it's really not.
It's a right.
This
is a Heath Ledger
This is
movie.
a Heath Ledger doing a once in a generational villain turn, right? So everybody comes and they appreciate it for that. That's a post-movie star era decision to make.
So you're saying early 90s, it was still
You're not
Costner
taking
has to win the
Schwarzenegger's.
movie.
You're not taking Schwarzenegger's movie away from Schwarzenegger.
Tom Cruise needs to get the girl.
He's got to
win the
get
fight.
his thing. You're not taking the Stallone movie from Stallone, and Kevin Costner is not going to go play Robin Hood and do this whole deal and then be upstaged by the second lead.
This movie actually, and this whole story, makes me even respect Bruce Willis in Die Hard more. Because
letting Rickman cook.
Well, he lets Rickman cook, but he's also so charming that no one's like Alan Rickman stole the movie from Bruce Willis.
Right.
And it's like when you get into a pissing contest with somebody, you got to make sure you can win it. You know?
I don't care if CR steals the podcast from me every once in a while. We all win if CR wins.
That's right.
So they actually ended up locking Reynolds out, and it turned into a whole thing. And he was really pissed about it after and was not shy about talking about it. Alan Rickman, so he's got this in Die Hard.
Yeah.
Like two of the biggest movies of like a 10-year span.
He's probably one of the great screen villains ever just off these two movies.
It's like having two Super Bowls.
Yeah. Like the Giants. Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Chris. Chris is feeling himself. He's 8-1. Making Giants jokes.
Yeah. I mean, it is kind of like that. It is kind of like that 2007, 2000. You know, he going up against the big undefeated Rickman, and then
he's like Eli Manning.
Yeah,
he's the Eli Manning of villains.
He's just taking scalps. He's got Willis. He's got Costner. Who's next?
Well, he's way more in control in Die Hard.
Yeah,
and in this movie, he's like, I'm fucking going for it.
It is the perfect example of guys who are doing different movies, and it's kind of crucial that you only. I think Nottingham and Robin come face to face once before. They have the one where he cuts his face, and then they meet again at the end of the film in a fight, but are never sharing dramatic or comic scenes together. So Rickman is like, my thing is I'm going to take this to, you think it goes to 11? It goes to 15. And Costner's like, I'm playing like a normal guy who's like just trying to make things work out, you know, and like they're in completely different films. I think that I enjoy the Alan Rickman movie more for rewatching, but I do sympathize with Costner's plight there.
It's almost as if Rickman is trying to fuck over Kevin Costner. Like, Kevin Costner's character is not like English at all. Rickman is distinctly English with an English comedic sensibility, with that sardonic sort of smirk in every single scene. Killing people, mocking them as they're dying, but it's still funny.
He's a coked up gothic Satan worshiper.
Right.
I mean, he gets all the good lines.
Every fucking thing that happens, even the spoon bit, which has gone on to be like, I cut your heart out with a spoon. It's dull. It'll hurt more. Like that whole thing is almost as if he goes, well, fucking nobody else is taking this shit seriously. I'm going to the next level. It's the Alan Rickman show.
Yeah.
Well, it's even better than that because the script was apparently so bad, he got two buddies to help him
to punch it up,
rewrite some of the lines and punch it up.
See?
Make it funnier for him.
So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
This is part of our theme run here, and this is, what's the theme again? It's that made how much money?
So wait, that made how much money? You gotta like raise your voice.
Do you think that the reason you're even thinking of this movie in the theme is because of T2?
No, I was thinking more, I wanted to do some big commercial movies that I liked, but then also did even better than I would have expected.
Sure.
And when I went back and I looked at the box office mojo for 1991, and T2 crushes. T2, it's like 30% higher.
And T2, it's like you go see it and it's instant, timeless, stone cold classic.
Right.
Robin Hood's going against like City Slickers and Silence of the Lambs and Sleeping with the Enemy and the Addams Family and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, and it crushed everything.
Secret of the Ooze.
And it kind of won the summer. Secret of the Ooze.
It did.
Yeah, finish the title, baby. Ninja Rap.
So this came out, and then Terminator 2 came out a couple weeks later.
You guys don't
those were the
remember. Of
movies.
course, you guys remember the anticipation for the movie.
Oh, it's huge.
Was like at an all-time.
And
This and T2, the combo.
It was the arrow shot.
Yeah.
Isn't the arrow shot was like the commercial or the trailer? It was
The arrow shot was the commercial. They had the arrow, the two arrow shots. One where he split the arrow.
And the camera's on the arrow.
And the camera's on the arrow. I'm like, oh shit.
Yep.
And then the other one is the flaming arrow. I'm like, I'm there. And then you go, and there was some, for me, there were some like curveballs. Like I was expecting Morgan Freeman to pop out.
So Morgan Freeman's in this, and he's really in it. And he's not 100% Morgan Freeman yet because Shawshank is still 3 years away and Seven's still 4 years away. He doesn't have that Morgan Freeman bump. This is easily the most commercial movie I think he's been in at this point.
But
it's a role that seems like, oh, I feel bad for Morgan Freeman. He's like he's gonna be the black guy in this. He's actually awesome in this movie, and it's a really good part.
Yeah.
And he's another one who's just better than Costner. Now, he does have Adebisi's accent from Oz. I don't fully understand it. And why nobody's trying to talk him out of it.
He's oh yeah, it's true. I know I don't know what the accent would be. This is the first time I've ever seen a Moor depicted on screen.
Yeah.
Like this made me like go look up who the Moors were, which is kind of the Moors were a bunch of badass, and then this, and then True Romance comes right after this.
Yeah, that has Moorish blood. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not even blood. Yeah.
Where he's talking about the Moors. I'm like, okay, the Moors are some badass, and so now get on to more shit. But it was cool to see him. I knew him for some reason though. He wasn't Morgan Freeman
yet.
It was
Street Smart was like
Is this before or after Unforgiven?
So this is actually he's
in Unforgiven.
Costner gives him the script
after
of Unforgiven on the set, and is like, check this out. And Freeman goes to Eastwood and is like, can I play Ned?
What's crazy though is like his biggest weapon is his voice, and they take his voice away and they give him Adebisi's accent, but it still kind of works because he's Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
It's good.
I wish he had more to do. Like I feel like he delivers the baby, and they're like, we gotta give Azim a win here. Like what are we gonna like?
Well, they set it up nicely though, where he's like, "You've saved my life. I'm gonna save your life now.
Yeah.
I've got you.
But I'm gonna watch you get your ass kicked a lot." It's a funny bit.
He did. Yeah, he delivers the baby to solve racism. It was like an early version of The Help.
After that, racism never existed.
Nah, it was done. It was
we
over.
Solved it in the 1100s.
It's like he literally, Friar Tuck. Shout out to Friar Tuck. Literally looks at him and says, "Look, you're heathen. I hate you." Then all of a sudden he delivers the baby. Little white baby comes screaming out. Friar Tuck is like, "Come on, bring it over here.
Bring it in." Yeah, he has some good moments and scenes. I wonder what he thought of the whole Costner experience. And it's like, man, this guy.
Have we ever heard anything about Morgan's on-set demeanor? I've never heard anything about him other than pure professional gentleman. It seems like he used to go with the flow.
I remember in the Shawshank research, like he did not like the director.
He didn't like Darabont?
And he was kind of surprised that movie did well, but he did not like his experience. But no, I haven't heard that much either.
But they make his character is like a super cool character. He's got the telescope. He's the whole nine. Like he's awesome.
He rips off a run. I want to say it starts with this, where he becomes one of the most important actors of the 90s. Is that fair?
Yeah.
I mean,
certainly one of the most noteworthy, right? His Morgan Freeman is kind of like one of those actors to where he might not be the lead, but if he's in the movie, that it means quality.
It gives it a boost. Yeah.
By like 93, 94, seeing his name made me feel better about whether I should go see the movie.
Yeah. Sure.
So Bonfire of the Vanities, he was the judge. Then Robin Hood. Then Unforgiven. Shawshank. He's in Outbreak. He's in Seven. Then he moves into that kind of Kiss the Girls, Amistad, Hard Rain, Deep Impact. He's just working a lot. And he keeps going all through the 90s, all the way through Some of All Fears. But
he really cashed a couple checks in there.
Late bloomer career, though. Yeah. I mean, he's got to be over
and now
50 in this movie?
Half of television.
Right.
Yeah.
How old do you think he was in this movie?
Well, I was going to say, one of the reasons why,
1937. So he's 54 in this movie. He's my age. I'm fucking old.
Wait a minute.
Wait.
He's 54 years old.
How old is he now?
He's born in 1937.
He's 86.
Yeah.
Morgan Freeman is 86?
Yeah, he's old.
And he was in fucking Lioness?
He's
wait, hold on for a second. First of all,
Morgan Freeman's a late fucking bloomer.
Morgan Freeman's 10 years older than Dennis Quaid?
Is this a situation to where he's been perpetually old for all time, but he's actually older than I thought he was?
Well, no, he's even way old. He's 15 years old.
But he's looked 40 forever, I feel like.
Right.
Well, he got famous late. Like, I think he was like a theater actor and stuff for a long time.
It was 89. He had Gloria, Driving Miss Daisy, and he had Lean on Me all in the same year.
I'm going to tell you guys something right now. The fact that he is 54 in this movie is so fucking inspiring to me. I'm sorry. That's so inspiring to me. You wouldn't think that 54 is when it would get started. You know what I mean? Well, it's not really getting started. He's been acting he was in the Electric Company in like the 70s, right? So he's been around for a long time.
He was that guy for a while in the late 70s, early 80s, because he was in like Brubaker and a couple of those type of movies. And you're like, oh, that guy.
So he was putting the work in, yeah. Almost like Sam. Sam broke a little late too, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
The theme song, Everything I Do It For You, was nominated for an Academy Award and won the Grammy Award for Best Song Written for Visual Media. How many weeks was it? Like
14.
number one? 14 weeks.
And
damn.
And it fucking felt that way.
Yeah.
As a kid, you could not breathe without that song being on.
How many weddings do you think?
At the time, like...
No, I mean, like over the next 20 years, how many weddings was that the first dance song? And now let's introduce the groom and the bride. And then it was like...
Yeah.
It was that and the Armageddon theme song by Aerosmith.
Yeah. And this pretty much runs the block until My Heart Will Go On comes out.
And it was also, you'd hear like you just be in the mall somewhere and you wouldn't actually hear the song. You'd hear like
the music
version.
Yeah, you'd be in like JCPenney and it would be playing
and it
like
would
that.
just be everybody like loved the record.
And it fucking ruined. Well, I guess it was more VH1 at the time, but it really like you'd be like, I got to stay home and watch cable today, and then it would just be like Bryan Adams all day long.
But you, summer '69, that
was
you were with him ever since then.
But remember they tried to, because Three Musketeers comes out, I said this before, it comes out a couple of years later, and they try to redo it.
Yeah.
But this time they triple teamed it. They
hated
ran a
that
train
movie.
on the song.
Yeah.
It was Bryan Adams. Who was it? It was Bryan Adams.
Was
fucking
Sting involved?
Sting.
Yeah.
And then it was they tried to add another one. It was the All for Love 3.
Yeah.
Rod Stewart.
Yeah, that song was awful.
Yeah, that one sucked. It didn't work. The movie didn't work either.
Yeah, All for Love. You're right.
Yeah.
Roger Ebert, 2 stars. He said it was murky, unfocused, violent, and depressing version of the classic story.
Raj got triggered by this. He was like, I can't believe children are going to see such a violent film.
Yeah.
And it's like, Raj, kids are watching The Raid now. Man.
Right.
Like,
Then he wrote another piece after where he said, thought it was dreary, murky, too violent, lacking in magic. I still do not quite understand how a legend so filled with enchantment and lighthearted heroism could be transformed in a movie only marginally more upbeat than The Doors.
God damn.
Will Hollywood,
Raj?
will Hollywood learn a lesson from this film? Will it stop rushing half-baked projects into production in order to meet deadlines with disaster? I doubt it. But I think it will be a long while before Kevin Costner allows himself to be bamboozled into another one of these flim-flams.
God
fucking pissed.
damn. He's talking about the MCU right there.
He really was upset. Yeah, well, this kind of foreshadowed where the MCU would go, where we're just like, hey, man, want to put on a suit?
Yeah.
And it's also like, hey, we have a release date. You got to make a movie.
Gotta
Be
make
there in
the
2
release date.
weeks.
Yeah.
You think you can work out? You need some HGH? What do you need?
Oh, he didn't work out.
Costner didn't.
He did not.
He was Take Me As I Am, Robin Hood.
Most rewatchable scenes. Robin Hood escaping at the beginning. Costner's hair and beard are just magnificent.
He looks like a deadhead who's just selling acid in a parking lot outside of the Meadowlands.
Yeah.
And when he puts his hand down on the stump and he's like, this is English courage.
Yeah.
But sounds like he's from Modesto.
Right.
Yeah.
You're like, fucking Houston, we have a problem. Right. This is not going to go well in the accent
His accent,
department.
then Freeman's like, here's my accent. It's like, oh, we're off. We're having an accent competition.
It's a key party, but for accents.
You saved my life. Now you're stuck with me. I had this later for What's Age the Best. I love movies like this where they take the star and they just throw a crazy wig and like a crazy beard. Seagal is the best one ever. Is Seagal and what was the one? Kyle
Hard to
Ray and I
Kill.
did that. Hard to Kill.
Yeah.
Well, hard
When-
to, is where
when
he
he's
gets
in a
fucked
coma
up
for
and he's in a
7
coma.
years.
It's
Yeah,
when he
he's in
gets
a
shot
coma.
up, right?
Yeah, he's in a coma, and they just put this wig on him. And this,
Is that the one
fake
where
beard,
Kelly
the
LeBrock heals him with acupuncture?
That's the funniest one. But
Well, she comes over. Remember?
she looks at his cock.
Well, no, wait.
She lifts the sheet up, and it was like, "There's my guy."
Wait, but wasn't there a scene in that one? And you guys, and maybe you just destroyed.
She does.
You just destroyed.
Sometimes you're just fucking like the 1980s Boston guy just fucking jumps out of you, and you're just like, hey, she looked at his cock.
You looked at his cock. You see that movie, Kelly LeBrock?
Yeah, sorry.
Like you forget where you are. Yeah.
Wasn't that the movie? And maybe I made this up in my mind where she comes over to him, and he's in the bed, and she goes, "Hey, I just wanted to give you a little pussy," and then she actually
Gives him
has like a cat.
Yeah.
We used to make
The
incredible
sexual
things in this
tension with
country.
the coma
Yeah.
patient
Right.
was really unprecedented.
Right.
We used to really care about the stories we told. You know,
This scene's a really fun way to start a movie. I wrote down Costner saves a little kid. I wrote down Robin wins over Little John.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites right there.
Good one.
the pole fight. Yeah.
I wrote down Costner shoots an arrow in Will's hand and then gives an inspiring speech with 3 different accents. He's English, then he's from like the Valley, then he's from Bay Area. He's just all over the place. The Rickman on Fire when he does that, just a minute. Robin Hood steals money from my pocket, forced me to hurt the public, and they love him for it. He's just going for
Is
it.
that the cancel Christmas speech?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lepers and orphans. You know, I gotta say, the last like 45 minutes of this movie is
rocking.
banging.
That's
Rocking.
That's what I have the hanging as my
Yeah,
most
the
rewatched
big
scene.
fight scene. Robin saves the day and ruins the wedding. When
The action in the
Slater
movie
says,
is
"Fuck
really
me," and
good.
cleared it. Yeah.
Yeah.
The sword fight's good. Connery coming in at the end. Like the last 45 minutes is like elite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have one of I don't mean to step on what's age the best, but one of my favorite things is when they do the model of the fight that they're about to have. So they're like, and you're gonna stand here.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you're gonna come through here. And then you get to the actual fight and you're like, that's what they had in the model. Like, this is really cool. Like
Right.
they actually did it. And so when you watch the final fight
It's
sequence,
like Shane Steichen doing a 5-receiver offense.
that's right. It's like you're like, oh my God, they've actually designed this so that I know where everybody is. And
Yeah, it's good. Because this movie, the first 2/3, it's a little slow. It's a little cumbersome. Definitely could be edited. And there's like multiple pee breaks. But when you get to the last third, especially from a cable standpoint, it's like, oh, they're about to.
he's gonna do
The
he's gonna
hanging
shoot the
scene's
arrow
about
through
to
the
happen.
ropes.
Yeah, it's like it's great.
I like when the Celtics come to play an away game and they destroy the village, your people, Bill. And when
Yeah, I felt like this was a dig.
You mean the
somehow.
Celts?
no, it's the Celtics, but it's basically
He's calling the Celtics.
Yeah.
they're Celtics. They're the Celtics.
They
I
get
saw.
Porzingis.
They got Porzingis out
Do
there.
you think that the people who saw the Celts coming to destroy them were like, man, this is the best 5-man lineup since Shaq and Kobe?
KD and Curry.
But I love that part because it's like they win, but then he goes, "Oh my God!" And then the fire comes in. Another
Yeah.
part is when Marion comes down to see him bathing.
Yeah.
She is the horniest woman
Oh yeah.
that has
I had that on
ever
What Stage the Best.
existed. She's like arrested with horny. She's like her whole
You just
life.
assume Robin Hood's like a human tripod. It's the only
Like,
thing I can
she's
think
like-
of.
she's like, oh my
God.
The whole world.
Should we
is-
invent a new award that's the Kelly LeBrock looking under the sheets award for the
We
horniest
should
woman?
for the horniest woman because women,
great award.
women's horniness like gets downplayed in movies.
Yeah.
Everyone is talking around her,
Yeah.
but she's so focused on his.
That
butt.
is a good scene.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
slut shame Lady Marion, man. Let her
I
let her
like
live.
it.
Yeah.
You know, she's
like,
into
look
it.
at Robin.
Jesus,
Oh my
Christ!
God.
You didn't tell me he was bathing. First of all, totally inappropriate. Like, turn around and let this man get out the water.
Yeah.
But not her. She's looking right there.
And then Connery at the end
Yeah.
is just an unexpected bonus.
And
Just-
honestly was like a shocking cameo. I was like, that's that guy. That's fucking James Bond.
this is what we used to. Now it happens in the Marvel universe, I guess. But this is what used to happen in the early '90s, where they would stack these movies, and it's like, you know what, fucking Sean Connery. Here's $250,000. Can you show up for one day?
And
Remember when Robards shows up at the end of Crimson Tide? You're just
Oh,
like, hey,
yeah.
it's Robards.
Just out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
as one of the guys. And you're like, oh, shit, I know that guy.
The
That's
Firm has a
fucking
little of
awesome.
that too. This was the era of like they just had money to give to everybody to be like the ninth lead in the movie.
And when he pops out, just real quick, that is so well cast because he is ridiculously old, kingly, handsome. It's Sean Connery. He's talking.
And he's
like,
got the accent.
Yeah,
He's got
but
the
and it
accent.
also really helps because, like, in the movie and in mythology, I guess, like, King Richard is the reason they're doing all of this. That's
Yeah.
the reason they do it in the Crusade, and that's the
Crusades,
reason
yeah.
why they're fighting against Nottingham in the first place. So if it comes back and it's just like, and it's Eric Idle or whoever it would be, like whoever it is,
Ned
like,
Beatty.
yeah, it would
Yeah.
be. It's great that
Rest in
it's like
peace.
somebody who's one of the biggest movie stars ever.
What do you got for most rewatchable?
The Hanging.
What do you got?
I had the end, the hanging part, and then I had my favorite scene of the movie for whatever reason is when Robin meets Lil Jon and they're fighting in the water. Like that's my favorite scene. of the
That
movie.
the hanging scene I love so much is like also like the things that come up that make it like more dramatic. So like when he's like, all right, all he has to do is he's going to shoot this like miracle Olympic archer shot to knock all the ropes out. But then they put Will down on the TNT so he can't really shoot where he wants to shoot.
Yep.
And he has to like do all this stuff to get the right angle, and it's good stuff.
I have The Hanging as well. What's age the best? Great theme music in this movie. Michael Kamen.
Yeah.
Really good. Like high end. I feel like it's been stolen in other movies, but I don't. Like it definitely feels it's one of those movie themed soundtracks that just feels
I
familiar.
feel like they like let it rock during like golf tournaments now. It's just, it's just one of those great ones.
This movie does a really good job of portraying medieval England. Like,
This is-
you know, the teeth, not a lot of
Unsteady
toothpaste.
ground for you.
The fact that everybody looks totally fucked up, and that also
Not a
actually
lot of toothpaste back in the 1100s.
works thematically because Marion looks beautiful
Right.
in this movie, and she also looks like the only person that has access to like dentistry. Like she looks perfect. She looks like she could
And
step
she's
off.
clean.
She's
People
clean
look
and a
super
whole
dirty
nine.
and muddy, and
Yeah.
she's just
Yeah.
like angelic. Chris, where do you stand on heroes killing bad guys with a bow and arrow?
I'm very pro.
Feel like that should come back?
Yeah, I like bow and arrow. Like
Bow
action.
and arrow murders are good.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, they're good action things. We mentioned crazy hair beard situations from A-list stars that are clearly a wig and a fake beard. Great stuff. Robin Hood Men in Tights I have as an age the best.
I haven't
Because
watched
they
that.
basically
really-
made this as a response to this
Yeah.
movie, and it just was a nice little addendum. I would, well, I was going to recommend that as the double feature for this. How about
Young
Loxley? Loxley, I'm going to cut your heart out with a spoon.
Chappelle. Oh my god,
Improvised.
Yeah.
love it.
So was You My Room 10:30 tonight. You My Room 10:45. Bring a friend. Also improvised. Silly outdoor movies with kind of shaky special effects. I'm pro. That's what's aged the best for me.
Give me another
Now I feel like
example.
they would CGI like
Oh
all of
yeah,
this.
yeah.
This was like they're just fighting through it. There's only one like clear CGI.
Or they would have
like,
shot this in like Romania or something. and
Right.
they're like, yeah, it's England.
Poland.
Yeah.
He gets off of the boat when he gets back, and he gets down there, and this is so weird. And he's grabbing the sand and whatever. He's home, right? But he's actually grabbing the sand, and he's actually super wet.
Yeah.
So you're like,
Yeah.
this actor had to go through
Right?
just a little discomfort to make this scene
And
feel real.
I think that's actually Cliffs of Dover. Like I think they shot there.
yeah. So it's like, ground
So
shit.
another what's aged the best. Morgan Creek is the production company.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This is the production company late 80s Chris Ryan would have worked for. This is what they ripped off over like a 8-year run. Young Guns, Major League, Young Guns 2, Exorcist 3, Pacific Heights, Robin Hood, Free Jacks, Last of the Mohicans, True Romance, Ace Ventura, Major League 2. That's really it. That was
I would
their
have
run.
had
That's a great run.
as a development executive at Morgan Creek, I would have just had a crippling drug problem and a Porsche bought entirely on credit.
And you're like, Young Guns 3.
Yeah.
Can we get Lou Diamond?
A prequel. Billy's teenage years.
What else do you have for what's aged the best?
I love when characters at the end of the movie face off against their mirror image on the bad guy side. So it's like
Oh.
Azim versus the witch, Friar Tuck versus the bishop,
Yeah.
Robin versus the sheriff.
Yep.
Like just great to have that symmetry. We just got to get back to two guys fighting and then becoming homies because they respect each other in the ring.
Yeah.
So much.
Yeah.
So I love like the the pole fight on the river, and then him just being like, "I misjudged you. You can be my leader now."
Yeah, come over here. I was the man. I
Yeah.
have no ego about it.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this. In NBA terms. Has this ever happened? I was the man. All of these people listen to me. Best man of the woods. You fuck me over with the pole, you got it, Robin.
Yeah.
Right.
It's now your entire thing. Fuck my wife if you want to, too.
This is what Embiid's going to do with Kelly Oubre soon. He's just going to be like,
Hey,
you're the man.
You're the man.
It's your
Pretty
team.
motherfucker.
And then the last one is just, I love a training montage of getting ready for the assault. So like, this is Seven Samurai, Magnificent Seven stuff. But like, as they like sharpen weapons and learn how to do archery and build all the like traps that they're going to have, I always enjoy that.
Them building out their lair in the woods is like really amazing.
And having like all the elevators and shit.
the whole nine, the technology. What's age the best for me? Kevin Costner on horseback.
Yeah.
Kevin Costner loves himself a horse in a movie. Think about how many movies he's done that are just straight up horse movies. He likes to ride around.
Right.
He loves to ride a horse in a movie. And now riding a horse is like his entire personality.
I feel like he left Yellowstone to ride more horses
Yep.
in Horizon. He's like, there's not enough horses in Yellowstone.
Gotta ride more horses. Kevin Costner on
Like
horseback.
he probably looked into CGIing himself to be a jockey in like a Secretariat movie. 5'2" Kevin
He's
Costner.
like, can we remake Seabiscuit? Can I
Right.
get in that?
Robin from the Rich aged pretty well. It's what we should all be doing. So if you know any rich guys out there, I'd like to take some money off of them.
That's it for you? What's age the best? Anything else?
No. That's it. Like,
I have one extra one.
What?
I like the era when people introduce other people as their first name, then they're from.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's like,
Bill
I'm here with
Austin.
Van from Baton Rouge
Van
and
of
Chris
Baton
from
Rouge.
Philadelphia.
Yeah.
I fuck with that.
Yeah.
Robin of Loxley.
I think that needs to come back.
Chris of
I-
Fairmount. Yeah.
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 That needs to come back.
Van of Gardier. Like I like that.
This podcast was produced by Craig from the Bay.
That's how people still like send emails to like podcasts and radio shows. It's always like Nick from Memphis.
Yeah.
Right.
That's true.
That's the last place that exists.
Except for Rosillo fans are like, Nick, but I lift this. You know what I mean?
6'2", 190.
Nick, me, I play like Bruce Brown. I'm about 5'11",
Yeah.
stocky.
I like when Robin Hood says, nobility is not a birthright. It's defined by one's actions. Kind of the principle of the movie.
You guys didn't watch this movie and like the movie's like filled with bars.
Oh, yeah.
The movie's like got some crazy bars in it. It's actually from a dialogue perspective,
Yeah.
like a really well written script, some good monologues in there and all kinds of shit.
It's a which age the best and the worst, but did I rob you in another life, Will Scarlet? We are brothers, Robin and Loxley. I found myself daring to believe in you. And then when Costner goes into that late 80s Costner, I have a brother. And it's funny, it's bad, it's good.
Yeah.
I just kind of enjoy
there's
it.
great lines like when Azim is like, the hospitality in this country is as warm as the weather.
As warm as
Yeah.
the weather.
Yeah, that's good.
He's like, how did you heathens ever take Jerusalem?
Yeah.
Like when he's looking at this up, some good lines in this movie.
He's
man.
good. The Kid Cudi Pursuit of Happiness Award for Best Needle Drop.
Gotta go Brian, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Robin says goodbye to Mary and she's getting on the boat and they put in a little instrumental, Brian,
Mm-hmm.
to like the little heart tuggers.
Came and gets the orchestra to
Yeah.
fire up some Brian Adams.
Then
Everybody
she-
was waiting for it too.
Then she turns back, takes one more long, lusty look at him.
Mm-hmm. Whole saddle, moist.
She's like, oh man, still thinking about
She's
that
in the
waterfall.
rock zone. Yeah.
Chris, did you have Big Kahuna Burger Award Best Use of Food and Drink Material?
Friar Tuck's Mead.
Oh yeah, that's easy one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Den of Thieves Benihana Award Scene Stealing Locations. Got to be the waterfall.
God, you know what? I gotta say, I love the Cliffs of Dover.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's good too.
CR, what'd you have for Great Shot Gordo Award for Most Cinematic
It's
Shot?
fucking Arrow Vision. What are we talking about here?
It's Arrow. For a second, I thought it was going to be his resurrection shadow in the mist scene.
Yeah.
But then when the arrow comes through and the arrows come in, that is a superhero fucking movie star shot. Slow-mo, Costner, arrow coming straight out of his blue eyes. That's like
It's
that's one
kind
of
of,
the defining action movie scenes of the decade. if you
totally
ask me.
agree.
Yeah.
and also like an awesome in the movie theater scene. We were
Right.
like, whoa, how'd
Yeah.
they do that? Because we also had Terminator a couple weeks later, which was the ultimate, how did they do that movie
Yes.
of the 90s? But even that arrow thing was like, whoa.
The
It
only-
became a talking point with
the
that movie.
non-arrow version, Great Shot Gordo I had it's really small, but it's just when he's like, I'm gonna cut your heart out with a spoon. and they shoot up the tower, and Robin's like, and then it begins.
Oh,
And
yeah,
then
yeah,
he
yeah,
dips
yeah.
out. I like that a lot.
Butch's Girlfriend Award for weak link of the film. I mean, we talked about it, but the Costner, even when Connery comes in at the end and he just sounds like somebody who's going to be from that area of the world, and it just puts a big shining spotlight on Costner, not even making an effort to sound like it. I'm glad he didn't, because he's pretty bad at accents for the most part.
Yeah.
What was the one he did? What was the one, the Cold War movie? When he had the bad Boston accent.
Was that in 13 Days?
13 Days.
Oh, yeah, about the
Bobby.
Cuban Missile Crisis.
Bobby and Jack.
Really rough Boston accent. The JFK
Good movie, though.
accident. The New Orleans. I don't know if you can speak the New Orleans. Pretty rough.
Yeah, it didn't really hit it. But I mean, it's,
He's no Eric Roberts in Heaven's Prisoners.
he nailed it. That's a look.
You tell me when you're ready.
I'm like,
It's not going to be this month, because that movie did not make
Baldwin?
a
it didn't
lot
make
of
any
money.
movie.
Oh,
That
yeah.
movie is
That movie.
that's a Louisiana.
That's a fucking
Couple
classic.
of people in the LeBrock zone for that movie.
Oh yeah, that whole movie is the LeBrock Zone.
Do we have enough movies
That's
for
one of the horniest movies
Yeah.
that's ever been made.
Oh yeah. Do we have enough movies for Louisiana month?
Yeah, for sure. You got
Angel Heart, Heaven's Prisoners.
the Big Easy if you like it. I
Big
don't know if-
Easy.
Yeah,
That's a
like,
great one.
yeah, like Louisiana month would go hard. Like there's some sweaty,
Yeah.
good times to be had down there.
What's age the worst? I mean, the rape's pretty rough. It was rough in the early 90s, or the near rape of Maid Marian.
Boy, you
when
just
he
shocked the
splits,
shit out of me. I'm not gonna lie.
He splits the legs, and it's like, whoa. For this movie's like PG or
It's the end of the
PG-13.
movie too. You're like, we're
Yeah.
supposed to be
He's like kind of going for it there for
they
like a minute.
played it comedically.
I
Yeah.
know.
Like
it's-
that's the thing. I think before the way that's shot, it's shot as if that's supposed to make people laugh. And I think that time it
because
probably
he's still playing it for laughs.
yeah.
Trust me, even in the early 90s, people were like, whoa, hey
Oh.
guys, come on. I think they're trying to make the point that he's trying to establish his bloodline with her. Like, I get it,
Yeah.
but this is not a rated R movie. It's pretty rough.
Yeah, it is for sure.
Yeah, I was surprised by that. I'd forgotten about that. Costner's hair. I don't know really what's going on with it. Like, do you think there were extensions?
I
Also,
think he
looks like
probably
it's kind of
I
going
think that
back.
dances with wolf's hair.
Yeah, it was the same haircut
Just
he had in
kept
Dances
it?
with Wolves. Yeah, his neck is weird in this movie. He's got a weird neck.
It's not like the best looking
You
version
don't
of
think so?
Costner.
He's like, look at the neck. The neck is like,
I've never noticed it.
like,
there's
go back and watch it.
Okay.
There's a lot of accent reporting about this movie where Costner wanted one and Reynolds didn't, and they just kept fighting about it during the movie. That's why it goes in and out. Costner has a nude swim stunt double.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
One of the all-time. Just
you can really see
chicken
it too
shit
if
moves.
you really
Yeah.
look closely. It's like the Ultimate Warrior comes in for
And
2
they were like-
seconds.
They say it's because they didn't want their star of their movie to get hypothermia.
Yeah, because they
but,
said it
like,
was so cold.
You think about what hypothermia does to your
Yeah.
package.
Yeah.
I just think he didn't want to be standing in front of a bunch of Teamsters.
I just wrote down here, and I'm not going to defend it, and I don't feel great about it. John's wife could have been a little cuter. Just going to throw that out there.
Bro, she's had.
I get
Bill,
it.
Hold on for a
I
second.
get it. We're in 1100s England.
Wait a second.
It's a
Bill.
movie.
Hold
Can
on,
I
hold on,
escape a
hold on.
little bit?
Hold on, wait.
A little bit of escape.
Wait a second. Not only are we in 1100s England, they
Yeah.
live in the woods.
Yeah.
She's had
I'm in a
eight.
fantasy.
Yeah.
children.
But
Bill.
you're like, was LeBrock not available?
Where's Helen Mirren?
Yeah.
She couldn't have. She
Eight
couldn't have
children.
just give Helen Mirren some bad teeth, and we're off. The other Robin Hood is a What's Age the Worst. It grossed $23 million. Laura! They should just had him be like evil, sleeping with the enemy Robin Hood.
That would be so.
Would have
good.
been better. Any other What's Age the Worst?
I gotta say, this is a giant fucking waste of Christian Slater.
Yeah.
And he's
I was
super
wondering when
charming.
we were going to talk about this. I had this at Picking Nits.
He's like, this is not exactly like bad era for him. I mean, this is not that far removed from Heathers, right? Like we got a pretty charismatic
I would say he's
actor.
one of the hottest under
Why did he
25 actors.
Well, I was wondering watching it. I was wondering why he took it.
And they have the whole movie he spends being like, you're a liar. Nobody likes you. Even though everybody's like, this guy is the fucking man.
yeah.
And then the very last time he's in the movie, basically, is when he does the fuck me, they cleared it. And that's improv. That was ad-libbed by him. And it's very charming, and I'm like, why wasn't this guy just in the whole movie? The shit talking like daredevil Will Scarlet.
He was harboring this like soul crushing secret that it made him maybe the biggest drag of any movie.
It kind of reminds me of when they make Jeremy Renner like under the spell of in Avengers, where you're like, you got Jeremy Renner and you got him as a zombie,
and the whole time he's walking around and it's like he's fucking up. It's like, oh, when is he gonna snap out of it? Bill has no clue
Avengers, a movie?
Yeah, Bill has no clue what we're talking about. I just looked.
Yeah, it was set in the 1100s.
I saw the confusion on his eyes.
That's why I only looked at you when I said it. And I was like, it's a good comparison.
The one with Christian Bale?
At the end of the movie, like he looks like he's having fun. I wonder why he took it. It seems like because he was already a big deal.
It gets worse when you look. Heather's in 88, Gleaming the Cube at 89.
I love that fucking movie.
He's in Young Guns 2 and Pump Up the Volume in 90.
He invents podcasting
and Pump Up the Volume. You would say he was like red hot.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, he must have thought, I'll be in this Robin Hood movie.
Well, maybe
when
you think about it, though, when you go look back at those movies, I was of a certain age, so all those movies like meant a lot. But, I mean, Young Guns 2, I'm sure did huge business. But even in that one, he's like Dave Rudabaugh, so he's like third, fourth down the line.
Yeah.
He's a new guy.
It wasn't until 93 that he does Untamed Heart and True Romance.
He probably wanted to kind of
he becomes
step up to another level of filmmaking, you know?
I also got to say, one of my What's Age the Worst is Life Before the Postal Service. Because Robin comes back to England after being in the Crusades and in prison for 5 years, and then it's like just finds out that his dad's dead.
Dad's dead. Castle burned to the ground.
Can't get a telegram. Can't get an email.
He had bad Wi-Fi in the castle. Was there a better title for this movie?
I don't know if you need Prince of Thieves, but it was pretty good.
Prince of Thieves was kind of like 90s cool. Like, not just Robin Hood, but they might have did that to differentiate it between the other Robin Hood movie that was coming out.
Sure.
Too.
What about Robin Hood, Marion wants some? Robin Hood, Marion needs it. Best quote, Azim. A wise man once said, there are no perfect men in the world, only perfect intentions.
There was bars all throughout the movie.
The best quote is, because it's dull, you twit, it'll hurt more.
It's because it's dull. You know?
All right, Stephen A. Smith, hottest take. You have one?
I have one, but it's not like particularly Stephen A. I just think that the writing's on the wall for the sheriff when he shivs his own cousin. I just don't think that's a guy you can trust in the locker room. After he kills his own cousin for failing, it kind of like is like, well, who's your muscle now? And I just think that that's where the Nottingham sheriff goes out. But I don't think that's his particularly hot take. It's just an observation.
Solid point.
My hottest take was that Azim should have actually been leading the people.
Oh, my God. Yeah, Azim is definitely like...
Azim was coming up with the technology.
Yeah.
All right. Azim had a telescope. He was the one who figured out how to save the baby.
Didn't get enough credit.
Didn't get enough credit, man. Didn't get enough credit.
Mine is... I think Game of Thrones ripped off this entire movie.
This guy.
And they were like, what if we just add some supernatural shit to Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves? It'll be awesome. Just make it get super weird. But same kind of premise. So, just people walking through forests, just saying weird shit to each other.
Right. The walking through forest piece is important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like somebody's kidnapped somebody.
I think there's a little bit of Tyrion in Rickman's performance.
Yeah.
Or vice versa.
And The Wire was like, we're totally ripping off this Robin Hood.
Yeah, David Simon was like, my principal inspiration is.
He's like, they fucked up Robin Hood. We're gonna correct this with Omar.
Omar is the biggest hero of that.
Yeah,
he becomes the central character.
Omar's the best Robin Hood ever. Maybe that's my hottest take. Casting what ifs, boy.
Ooh, hold on real quick.
Yeah,
have they? Somebody has had to have made
that take. You think I created the take?
No. Like a Robin Hood that takes place in like the South Side of Chicago or in South Baton Rouge.
I had that for later.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Casting what ifs, you better sit down, even though you're sitting down.
Let's do it.
Mel Gibson said he was offered the lead, but had just done Hamlet and passed.
Hamlet and this pretty much the same thing. Yeah.
Robin Wright was supposed to be made Marion and became pregnant with Sean Penn's child and bowed out at the very last minute.
Mm-hmm.
And they replaced her with
Mary Elizabeth.
One of the great names.
Some other names kicked around for
Tony, you want to fuck me, Tony?
Bruh,
You want to fuck me?
just one of the weirdest fucking scenes ever, bro.
There was a bunch of people who were rumored for Maid Marian.
Yeah.
The most interesting was probably Nicole Kidman. But there's also like
That's early Nicole Kidman too. That
Yeah.
would have been a good one.
Patsy Kensit,
Yeah,
Oh, love
Elizabeth
her.
Hurley
Yeah.
Yep.
in the mix.
Elizabeth
Hurley's a good
Hurley?
one. Yeah,
What was she was
been
she was
young.
kicking around at that time as far as acting wise and stuff? When do
I had
remember?
one
When,
for
when is she in Austin Powers? It's like mid 90s, right?
No. I mean, I know she was. I'm just wondering what I'm trying to think. I know she was
She was a
around. She's a
model.
model. But I'm trying
Yeah.
to think what's the first thing I remember her being in.
Richard E. Grant was supposed to be the
Uh.
sheriff, but couldn't do it because he was doing Hudson Hawk. John Cleese was supposed to be King Richard or the proposed, but then Sean Connery, Costner pushed for it, and he reduced his $1 million fee down to a $250,000 donation. I don't know if this is true, but Cary Elwes was offered the role and turned it down, but then ended up doing it in Men in Tights.
I have a hard time believing that Cary
Kinda.
Elwes was like, I don't want to be in Robin Hood.
Yeah, me too.
What?
So I don't know if I believe
Although
that
he
one.
kind of has played him like in Princess Bride, but
Did you
still.
believe Johnny Depp turned down the role of Will Scarlet? That one didn't pass the smell test for me either.
What was Depp doing in the early 90s?
I think Depp. I think
I felt like things were happening for him by 91. I don't see it.
I'm trying to think where Johnny Depp was. He would have been better as Will Scarlet.
So I have for the Ruffalo Hannah Rubinek Partridge Overacting Award and the Judd Nelson New Jack City Award for Somebody's in the Wrong Movie, Alan Rickman.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Yeah.
that
He's just in a completely different movie.
Rickman may be so far off menu here that we have to add Rickman to the Ruffalo Hannah Rubinek Partridge.
Done.
It might need
Happy
to be
to do that.
Ruffalo Hannah Rubinek Partridge Nottingham.
I'm happy to add him.
Okay.
Who'd you have for best that guy?
I have Brian Blessed, who plays Robin's dad. He's in a ton of stuff.
I had Kevin McBride.
Who's Kevin McBride?
It's one of those guys.
Okay, go there. You go.
Who'd you have for Dan Waiters? The Waiters was tough.
I had the witch.
I have fucking Sean Connery.
Witch- Oh, sure.
Oh, you know
Oh,
what?
yeah, it's
I
definitely
had,
Sean
I had,
Connery.
I
You're
had,
right.
yeah, I had the witch, and I had Sean Connery. I had two. The witch is just like,
Yeah, we haven't really talked The Witch. Where are you at on
I
The
don't
Witch?
like witches like that. I don't like ugly witches.
Yeah,
Yeah, they freak me out.
yeah.
I didn't like it on Game of
Do you
Thrones
know?
either.
You didn't watch the extended cut? Did you read about it at all? Do you know that
It's supposed to be
Nottingham
Rickman's mom.
is her daughter? Is his
Yeah.
daughter?
yeah,
Is her daughter? Son, Jesus
son, yeah.
Christ.
Connery's a great Dan Waiters. Recasting couch. I'm going to throw two at you. Greta Scacchi for Marion.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Always liked her. Val Kilmer for Robin Hood. I feel like he would have grabbed the accent. I'm just saying he does that instead of the Doors, or maybe he does it right after the Doors, and just throws himself into it.
You know what's
I think
crazy?
he could have done it.
You know what? He's. This is gonna sound so stupid. He's weirdly too handsome. He's like
More handsome than Costner.
Yeah, more handsome than Kevin Costner looks in this movie. Val Kilmer's. He's like so angular, model-esque face.
He's
Yeah.
striking.
He's so striking.
Yeah, but he would have just gotten so lost in like what accent he wanted to do and like his method of doing
That's
it.
what I would have enjoyed.
I
that,
think
though.
that I have a left field pitch here,
Let's hear it.
which is Hugh Grant, who at this time isn't
Oh,
quite.
Hugh Grant.
So this is right before he's in Four Weddings, like a couple years before, and Remains of the Day is when like he kind of starts popping out. But like, if you wanted somebody to be a rich boy prick,
Mhm.
he would be my number one draft pick. It's just about whether or not he could convincingly be an archer and stuff after the fact.
The crazy thing is,
And if he had to go toe to toe with Rickman, he could kind of do it.
the crazy thing is, it's a much better movie if he's in it because he's so talented, man. Like Hugh Grant is really talented, but like it's like not a hit.
No, you're right.
Yeah, but it's like
It needs Costner. Van made the point. That slow motion arrow. It's 50% of why this.
what
movie
was
made
the movie? Let me
400
ask
million.
you guys something. What was the movie that Kevin Costner like figured out how to be a movie star in? Because he
No Way
has
Out.
he has this movie star charisma, and he is great looking. I didn't mean to say that he wasn't great, but he has this movie star charisma that sometimes lets him just float through a scene.
Yeah. The
And
Bodyguard. We talked about it when we did The Bodyguard.
he's a real movie star.
Yeah.
Like I wonder what the movie was.
I think it's Untouchables.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But No Way Out was before Untouchables.
No, it's
though,
the
right?
same year, so I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I could see it being Untouchables. Never stop fighting the fight till the fight's finished.
Half-Assed Internet Research. There's a 2-disc special edition with 12 minutes of unreleased footage, which you can find on YouTube, which both of you did. Most of the songs the characters sing are actual medieval melodies. Apparently, the Costner's horse during one scene reared and pulled his neck up and broke his nose.
Oh, shit.
Which feels like that should have been a bigger deal. I don't know how they fixed it. The shot of Robin shooting the arrow was 300 frames per second. The normal speed is 24 frames. And they trimmed the attempted rape scene from the VHS video release in a couple places, including the UK, because there were complaints.
I got one bit for you here.
Well, I have The Arsenal.
Nope.
While filming in England, Kevin Costner became a fan of Arsenal and supports them to this day.
How about that?
I don't know if I believe that, but it looked great in Wikipedia. What do you got?
This is from Reddit. This is from a Reddit user
Oh, wow.
named WD409. So shout out to that person.
They just fucking went nuts.
Quote, people like to rag on Kevin Costner's accent in that movie, but as a scholar of medieval history,
Wow.
it doesn't bother me at all. Why?
Okay.
Because they wouldn't have spoken with English accents back then anyway. In 12th century England, the nobility, such as Robin of Locksley, would have been speaking Norman French, while commoners would have spoken Middle English, also known as the language of Chaucer in the Canterbury Tales. Modern audiences can generally read Middle English reasonably well, despite the non-standard spelling, but prior to the capital letters' great vowel shift culminating in the 18th century, it still would have sounded totally unfamiliar. In short, it's no big deal that Costner doesn't have an English accent, because back then, nobody would have had an English accent.
Okay.
Incredible research from Chris from Philadelphia.
Love that. Chris from Philadelphia.
The problem is Costner still meant to have an accent.
That's the thing. If there'd have been one interview,
that was not
where
on purpose.
Can you imagine the big dick moment if someone would have asked him about the interview and he'd have dropped all of that fucking knowledge right
I'm just
there?
saying. I'm just saying. I was like, I get it. I get it.
He was accidentally accurate.
Yeah, he was It was like he fucked up, and it turned out he was fine.
So Van of Baton Rouge is on board.
It is. It's called being wrong right. Sometimes you're wrong, but you don't even know that you're right anyway.
Apex Mountain. I only had a couple because I don't think this was Apex Mountain for really anybody. Archery?
Yeah, I have bows and arrows in movies.
Bows and arrows in movies. Although you can make an argument for the Hunger Games. She was.
There is some good arrow stuff.
That was her whole thing. You guys, and this is gonna sound weird. You guys don't think that you can make an argument that this is Alan Rickman's?
So Rickman was the other one I had.
Yeah, Apex.
Did you go
Mountain.
Die Hard or for this?
So you don't think this is Costner's Apex Mountain?
I
This-
don't.
this
well, it's
Period of time,
So it's the most commercial movie he ever made.
and it's bookended by his Oscar triumph and arguably his best movie. With
So I
JFK.
think Dances with Wolves, him winning the Oscars, is his Apex Mountain.
I think that.
So I think it already happened.
I think that moment happens with a film like that. Like that happens. That's so rare that a movie that's driven by one actor in that specific way happens like that for somebody. When you have like a Mel Gibson Braveheart or a Dancing was Wolf situation, that's almost the default, your Apex Mountain.
Yeah.
But
So maybe 1991 was his Apex Mountain because he wins all the Oscars that year.
I mean,
Then this comes out. This becomes his most commercial movie ever made.
Yeah.
I will say this. It was downhill from this movie.
Bodyguard?
Can you
Perfect
imagine?
World? Yeah.
I mean, this was it was down. I mean, Kevin Costner is still a fantastic performer. Don't get me wrong. I'm not dissing to Kevin Costner, but this was the peak.
And this is the thing, is that we did this whole bit in the beginning about Kevin Reynolds getting locked out of this movie and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Reynolds gets asked by Kevin Costner, "Hey man, you want to try one more time, you and me? Let's dial something up together." And what is it? It's Waterworld.
Waterworld.
So he wins the Oscars, Robin Hood, and then JFK, and then Bodyguard. And then I think we move into a different phase.
Then he
and then he
dates
kind of comes back with Tin Cup and
Tin Cup is great.
96.
Yeah.
But you know what?
That was the I'm Not Dead Yet movie for him.
I'm such a big fan. I love The Postman, and that's a objectively whack movie.
Yeah.
I love that
I
movie.
kind of like The Postman too.
I like Wyatt Earp. You know,
Yeah.
Tombstone
I like
fucks
Wyatt
over
Earp. I like
Wyatt
Wyatt
Earp,
Earp,
but
yeah.
I like Wyatt Earp. So I like the shit that he was putting out.
Pick a Nits. why did the sheriff? Why Marion? What was it about Marion?
She's the king's cousin.
He has to get royal blood.
Right.
She's the king's cousin.
This was the best avenue for that.
What do you mean, Bill?
There was nobody else. Big extended royal family. Is
Everybody
Marion
was
or
at-
bust.
Everybody was at court. Remember?
Yeah.
Earlier in the movie, he asked her. He's like, "You should probably move to London." She's like, "I don't want to do life at court." So most of the other king's relatives were probably living life at court. She was hanging back because she wanted to give alms to the poor.
Okay. And why didn't Will Scarlet tell Robin they were brothers sooner?
I have that too.
Just bring it up in the first
yeah,
20
just
minutes
be like,
of the
hey,
movie.
fuck you, man. By
Why
the way,
is this a reveal? What is this, Jerry Springer? This is the Maury Povich show?
when everybody is like, we want to swear fealty to this guy, he could have just been like, yeah, man, fuck this guy.
Hey, a group of people who I've been living around my whole life. This is the motherfucker. Remember the motherfucker I was telling you about?
This is my trauma.
This is the guy
Yeah.
that fucking fucked over me. Maybe we don't want him to build the tree houses because he's an asshole, and so is his dad, devil worshiper. Like, so why did you wait? And why did you wait and try to do it the sneaky way? I just fucking tell everybody.
You're just a dick for like 4 weeks,
Yeah.
and then you're like, oh, by the way, we're brothers.
And also the worst kind of dick where it's like people were trying to make a plan, try to
Yeah.
figure some shit out, and he's just like, you're a liar. This won't work. And you're like, fuck off, man.
Maybe he's the weak link in the movie.
trying
Maybe
to talk
he
to
should've
his
won
girl,
Butch's
trying to give her a
girlfriend.
rose. Get out of here, Will Scarlet. You
yeah,
just trying
you
to
know
hate
that's
on-
Robin's girl.
Yeah, like you trying to hate on me because of some shit I had nothing to do with.
What else do you have for picking nits?
Is it my imagination or does Azim say at one point in the beginning of the film when they first get to England, and he's like, you must want to go back and see your family. And he's like, it's because I love my family so much that I have to fulfill my like promise to you.
It's good.
And then like 10 minutes later, he's like, I have no family to
I
return
have
to.
no family to return to.
So Azim's playing two hands there. I don't know what's going on.
What if Azim is Robin's other brother? What if Sir Loxley, Lord Loxley, took a trip to the Moorish lands, like way back in the day? What if it's his other brother?
Azim's like, I'd like to play with Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, and Russell Westbrook. I need to leave. What'd you
I
have?
had one pick in it,
Yeah.
and it was something that just jumped up in my face. So, like, remember when they're fighting on the thing, and Robin tells him to like put your feet down.
Yeah.
You can stand up. You've been living there your whole life. You don't know how deep the fucking river is.
And you can't swim.
You don't know how to swim. You never
Yeah.
you never swim. It's your forest. Why is this motherfucker?
I guess nobody
telling
ever
you-
gets far enough to knock him into the water.
I guess not, because he's the man. But I just thought that's kind of stupid that he would tell you about the lake in your backyard.
Yeah, you know the entire land.
Yeah,
You
you
get
don't know.
no internet,
you
nothing
know
else
it's
to do
shallow
all
right
day
there.
other than just figure shit out. Does Freeman kind of disappear during this
Yes.
movie?
After the
How long?
It's basically
40?
like 40 minutes
Yeah.
after he helps the baby.
It's a borderline pick and knit. I mean, he's the second billing of the movie. Third billing of the movie?
Yeah.
Sequel, prequel, prestige TV, all black cast or untouchable. Go ahead, man.
Yo, I don't know. I can think of all the other ones. There's G, which is the black remake of The Great Gatsby, hip hop Great Gatsby.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of ones. Like a Robin Hood, but
There's never been a Robin in the Hood.
I can't, Robin in the Hood. I can't think of one. You could actually have like a real sheriff. It could be the sheriff
Oh.
of Nottingham County or some shit like that, which is basically is now. You could actually have like a real sheriff. It could be Robin against crooked police and the whole nine. Robin went to the war. He comes back to the war. The whole hood is. That seems like they would have done that before, you know?
I feel like it's a theme that's been in different movies where somebody steals from the bad guys to make the bad guys even matter.
you know what I mean? There's a whole situation.
But nobody's ever like
done it. It seems like
well, Omar did it. I guess maybe
Antoine Fuqua would have had that one. Like Fuqua
that,
missed
well,
that one.
doesn't Denzel, which Equalizer, he kind of does
he's
that.
protecting people, but he's not doling out money. In the
Yeah.
first Equalizer,
Yeah.
he's like protecting the rest. No, it's the second Equalizer.
Second Equalizer, I thought he was giving out.
Does he steal though? No, he does.
No,
steal.
first
Yeah,
Equalizer,
he
he's
does steal.
protecting. He protects like the Mexican restaurant.
And he gives, and remember he gives the drug money away to the people when they're leaving. Because he
Right.
takes over the drug
That's right.
house. Yeah, so I guess it's kind of like that.
My sequel prequel is my desire to see the famous spec script that got written like 15 years ago called Nottingham. That was supposed to be the story of Robin Hood from the sheriff's perspective. and it was
that's
supposed to
dope.
make the sheriff the hero. And this is the movie that Ridley
And
Scott.
Robin Hood's like a prick.
Yeah, and this is the movie that Ridley Scott was supposed to make, and instead he decided to change it into a Robin Hood movie
Why?
because he wanted more archery, apparently, among other things. But like,
But that
Nigga
movie
loves
would
archery.
be so fucking amazing to see. I like when they do crazy shit like that.
There's a Marion kind of like softcore porn they
You're
could have made to on
obsessed.
Netflix. Nah, I'm just trying.
That's
Nah,
funny.
no,
It'd be funny
like the
'cause-
Emmanuel series, but with Marion.
Bro,
Yeah.
that's so funny because you know how that scene's different. That's in the Marion softcore 11 p.m.
Yeah.
Like she takes her shit off right then, and she
She's
just
like, I'm going to
jumps in the
swim with
water.
Robin.
Right.
Yeah, the whole nine.
And then everyone leaves them alone.
Everybody
All of
leaves
a
them
sudden, there's
alone.
some waterfall.
But then
fucking
you
going on.
have Marion's. It's going back and forth.
Yeah.
Robin
Mary-
Hood.
Robin Hood
Mhm.
coming next week
That-
on
that-
Netflix.
Look,
Bong.
that probably exists.
Yeah.
Robin
Right.
Hood probably exists.
Yeah.
Robin Hood.
Craig's like, it probably exists.
Probably.
He
No
definitely
idea.
You never,
danced
never
Robin
saw it
Hood.
before.
It's not like Sherwood Forest isn't one of your Pornhub search terms.
Marion. Is this movie better than Wayne Jenkins, Danny Trejo, Catherine Hahn, Steve Buscemi, Sam Jackson, J.T. Walsh, or Philip Baker Hall?
This is actually, I'm not ducking Wayne. I'm just saying Sam Jackson as Azim is absolutely fucking
That's crazy.
incredible. Him just being, it's a looking glass, motherfucker.
I was also thinking he could have played Azim's brother who comes in the last 20 minutes. Remember when Sam would just come into movies
Yeah,
for
it's
like a half
it's
hour?
my long lost brother,
Just
Kazim.
help out of nowhere,
Yeah.
like they're down, and all of a sudden there's another painted man.
Yeah.
And it seems like that's my brother,
Yeah.
Hakeem.
I'm with you. Sam Jackson should have been in this. Just one Oscar. Who gets it?
Alan Rickman.
Probably unanswerable questions. Chris, you think this is around the same time in Game of Thrones, 1100s? Was Game of Thrones earlier?
I think it's
Game of
like,
Thrones was the 1200s
yeah,
or
dragons
the
come
1100s?
in later than
When did the dragons like become a
Yo,
thing?
Game of Thrones is not on Earth.
No, Game of Thrones is 1100s.
It's like a fantasy
it's a
world.
running bit.
Right. Oh, I see. I
Yeah.
see.
I asked this jokingly to Mallory once,
she
asking,
almost had like a
and she
full
almost,
on-
like,
bet
almost
she
had an
freaked.
aneurysm.
Yeah.
Because I straight faced it. I'm like, what was it, like 1100s? And she
Yeah.
was just like, oh, and then I had, why can't we go back to identifying ourselves as our first name in the name? Any other unanswerables?
Are we to understand that no one in England at this time has seen an explosion before? So like when Azim blows up those barrels, because if it is the first time I saw something explode, I would need a minute. You know what I mean? I would just be like, "What's that?"
Yeah. That's like a underlying theme of the movie
Yeah.
that they look at Azim as the barbarian.
But he's like scientifically way more advanced than
They've
them,
never
yeah.
seen like a fucking telescope,
technologically,
and they don't know how to deliver babies, and they don't know how to do all of that shit.
I forgot to put in What's Age the Best. I love when people get propelled in old,
catapults.
those old movies like that, when they send Freeman and Costner over the wall.
Yeah,
Just the way they do it. It's cool. I
I
can watch
wish the
that all
movie
day.
had more shit like that.
Yeah, like old school special effects shit.
Because to be honest with you, for a movie that's based in like swashbuckling, there's not a lot of swash
Right.
and
There's not a
buckle
ton of sorting.
I know.
in this. Not a lot of it.
What piece of memorabilia would you want from this movie? The fire arrow that they used in the trailer, I think if it was like the film used fire arrow, this was it. This was the
That's
arrow
cool.
with the quiver.
I would go with
think it'd be
the
cool.
pagan cult mask that
Oh,
they
yeah.
rock in the beginning, that they all have on in the beginning.
There could also be like one of the necklaces or pieces of jewelry
Yeah.
would be.
You know what I like? I
What?
like Azim's fucking sword, man. That big,
Oh, the
huge,
scimitar?
the
Yeah.
scimitar that he has, like
That's a
that.
good one. The
that's
King
a-
Richard sword would be good too, that he gets back.
Yeah.
He's talking about his dad's sword. Yeah.
Andy Red's the Watanabe Award would happen the next day. So Azim just goes back like it's a wrap for him. It's like, thanks everybody.
Yeah.
I know. I think
I'm gonna
Azim-
go find my family. I don't have a family.
Just
I'm
gonna
go
gonna
find
start
them.
the quick 4-month journey back to.
I think Azim stays, man.
You think he does?
Yeah, he
I
thinks
think
he
it's
loves
a
pulp culture.
whole
He's like, I'm the
bunch-
smartest person
Bro,
here. I'm gonna
I
stay.
think it's a bunch of light skinned motherfuckers right now running around. It's like Azim's kids and forebears and Craig David, guys like that. I think Azim stayed, man.
The Coach Finstock Award for Best Life Lesson. Rehearse before you do a movie is a good one. Might
That's really
might
good.
go that.
Choose an
Give
accent.
yourself.
Yeah.
Give yourself a couple weeks.
Commit, Kevin.
Who won the movie?
Rickman.
Rickman won.
I don't think we would do this movie if it was a replacement level villain. I think Rickman makes this movie pretty.
I think you're right.
Pretty-
I had Rickman as
pretty
well.
poppin'.
Did we have Rickman win Die Hard? We gave that one to Willis.
I don't remember.
I think
Bruce
it
has
was
gotta
Willis.
win that
We
one.
dieharded
We definitely
rather
argued
early
about it.
in
Yeah.
in the run.
Well, maybe we'll have to do it again at some point. Craig, what'd you think? This movie's older than you.
Yeah. And I would
Jesus
have
Christ.
never put this movie on had I not been forced to by you three.
Not a big Robin Hood guy.
To be honest, I just kind of think the story of Robin Hood and Robin Hood as a character is kind of just like corny as hell. I think it's just kind of lame.
You know what, man? I gotta say, for the last couple of months, really, you've been a really good sport. And you're like, you know what? I love you guys, and I love just movies where people are talking. And now you brought it back.
It's great.
With that said, look, the first I agree. First 20, 30 minutes kind of feels like a middle school English class substitute teacher movie where they're like, you're putting this on. And
Yeah.
you're like, all right, we'll get through it. But I don't disagree. By the end, I'm like, all right, I'm kind of in. I actually enjoyed this movie. It's too long, but I have to preface this by saying I've never seen the Mel Brooks one.
Oh, it's great. It's really funny.
But I was like, this movie should have just been a comedy. Like, I think Costner's and Robin Hood is the least interesting part of this movie. Like, everything else in this movie I actually think is really good.
Do you think, if I say Robin Hood to you, do you think of the investment app or Robin Hood as the character?
I was just about to ask that.
investment
We
app?
should have put that in the What's Age the Worst, the Robin Hood
Yeah.
investment app.
Investment app. for
Because you
sure.
know what? I actually think, and it's weird, I think that there are certain pop culture things from my childhood that have expired. Like Paul Bunyan has expired.
Mhm.
That was still a big deal when I was a
Popeye.
kid. Like Popeye
yeah.
has expired. I think Robin Hood has expired. I don't know if it has the relevance anymore. I know they've tried to make other movies.
I was even thinking about this the other day because
Charlie's
I
Angels?
saw briefly I was in a movie I was watching or something, but I was like, does anybody know who the Flintstones are anymore?
They might have expired, bro. They might have
That was old for us when we were kids.
when we
it
were
was old.
kids. That stuff was still old. I think some of that stuff has
Do you think
fucking
Ben knows who Fred Flintstone is?
Not a chance. I think there's a lot of the
Do you think Ben knows who Joe Biden is?
You think
if
Joe
you said,
Biden knows?
if you said, Ben, here are these two pictures. One of these guys is named Joe Biden, and
one
one
of
is named
Fred
Fred Flintstone. You pick.
He would ask if either of them was in the UFC.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
is that like a light heavyweight in the
Yeah.
UFC? He definitely doesn't know who Joe Biden is. Yeah, that's an interesting idea of things that just expire.
Yeah, because when I was thinking,
Like, does Bill Cosby mean anything anymore?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
now
Just because of the crimes, though.
But people might I watched the Cosby Show growing up.
Okay.
but when I was a kid, I just remember my dad was talking about, my mom were talking about things that were inspiring, but they were bringing all these old shows back, fucking Gidget,
My Three
Leave It to
Sons,
Beaver,
yeah.
Leave It to Beaver, all of that stuff, and then that the stuff just goes away. And Robin Hood was still a thing; they were still doing it, but I think it's gone, man.
The Jeffersons, I think, have expired.
Probably, hopefully not.
You know what the Jeffersons are?
I do, but I never watched it. Like,
Yeah, right.
Gilligan's
The 70s
Island
stuff
expired.
is in danger.
It's in danger.
Yeah.
Brady Bunch, Gilligan's Island expired.
All that stuff is expired, man.
Well, that's good for the podcast. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about this? How about the New York Yankees?
Oh,
They still a thing or no?
well done. Well done.
Wait, I
Way to
got
bring it back to
Way
you.
to bring it back,
Bill
Bill.
of Boston.
so Costner kind of screwing up in this role and like the accent didn't work and it was just wrong. Do you think there's any chance that this happens to Chalamet and Wonka?
Oh.
That's a good question. I think it would actually have been more
Is he too young?
the more probably accurate parallel would have been Dune. And if he'd somehow completely fucked Dune up and been all over the place while somebody else is he actually nailed it.
He
in a
brought
lot
it
of
in
ways.
Dune.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked him in Dune.
Yeah.